Good evening and welcome to the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. I'm Andrew Gus, joining you here live back in Bloomington at the Frank Southern Ice Arena for a matchup between the Louisville Cardinals and your Indiana Hoosiers. We'll look over at the Cardinals. They are 7-7-0 on the year. The Hoosiers 8-5 so far with the advantage. And looking at it on the ice, the Hoosiers so far are undefeated in black and are undefeated against Louisville since joining the TSCHL. Louisville's goaltender tonight will be Cam Walsh, 2-5 on the year. Goals against average of 3.65 and a save percentage of 8.876. On our aspect will be Sammy Billis, 6-1 on the year with a 3.15 save percent and a 0.911 goals against. Stars for the game tonight, look for Cam Costa, along with Jake Chickalise and Zach Burkhart. On the Hoosier side of things will be Will Jeremy, who's leading the team in points, Tommy McDonald, who's been bringing a great aspect of energy and physicality, Drew Michelli, who's been stepping up big time on the power play, helping to bury goals on so far what has not been the best year of the power play, and Henry Whitliff, a freshman defender who's been scoring goals and making big plays all around the ice. A little flasher on the TSCHL tonight, Michigan and Miami facing off at 7 o'clock, Ohio State and Bowling Green, 8:30, OU and Dayton at 10 o'clock, and back in Kentucky, they've got another midnight game hosting Xavier. I'll send it back to Sam Weixler and Garrett Drake for game time in just a few moments. Again, I'm Andrew Gus on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network, and we'll have puck drop in just a few moments.
Club hockey at Indiana University is brought to you by the following team sponsors. The Corson Fire and Security Group, the Blue Blazer Events Group, and Top Flight Hockey. It's been called the Bedlam along the Bluegrass, the battle from the Morgan's Raiders Trail, and a plethora of other catchy nicknames. Regardless of what you call this matchup, there's zero doubt that every time Indiana and Louisville lock horns on the ice, it's a game full of memorable moments. A rivalry that spans multiple leagues and multiple decades is renewed once more here at the Frank Southern Ice Arena. Alongside Garrett Drake, I'm Sam Weixler, and we are delighted to bring you Hockey at Indiana University this evening, hosting the University of Louisville as the Cardinals drive all the way up I-65 or I-69 and get ready for this TSCHL matchup. Indiana coming into this evening's game with a record of 8-5-0, and the visitors from Louisville, so far we can tell, a 7-7-0 record on the season.
Yeah, Sam, you mentioned the magnitude that these games have had over the course of the past couple years. Last year here in the Frank, it was an absolute gong show that we got to witness, a shootout victory for the Hoosiers, and I would expect it to be another hard-fought matchup here today and then again in Louisville tomorrow.
Well, Indiana has won the last 4 of these games in a row, dating back to the 2019 season. And believe it or not, there's some familiar faces from that game. The starting netminder for the Louisville Cardinals, Cam Walsh, just happens to have had his fair share of times in between the pipes against the Indiana Hoosiers, losing all of those matchups in his career. This season, however, 2-5-0 with a .365 goals allowed average and a save percentage of .876. For the Hoosiers of Indiana, back in between the pipes is the stellar netminder Sammy Billis, the junior. Last year, we've talked about him at length, had a fantastic season, and this year, in 9 appearances, 7 of which were starts, he's got a 6-1-0 record, a goals allowed average of .315, and is saving just about 91% of his shots. Leading the Indiana Hoosiers in their black sweaters, in which they're undefeated, I might add, is the head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers, Andrew Weiss, in his 2nd season behind the bench. Took over last year after a coaching change was made about this time in 2021 and has not looked back since. On the other side of the scorer's table, the head coach in his 12th season for the Louisville Cardinals, head coach Brian Graham. Coach Graham has led them to 3 TSCHL championships, all coming back to back to back. A strong run in 2015, 16, and 17, where Louisville won the tournament at the end of the T every single year. Garrett, both of these teams are full of veterans, as we see some of them skating around right now. Who do you think is going to have the biggest impact tonight for Louisville?
Yeah, well, coming into today, Cam Costa's been lighting up the score sheet as well. Will Jeremy lighting it up for Indiana, but Cam Costa actually has put up more points than him so far on the season. We'll get into the numbers a little bit later on into the broadcast, Sam, but I would expect a big game from Costa, and Indiana's got to contain him.
Well, we will get back to the starting lineups in just a moment for Indiana, but before we have the national anthem and the public address announcer, for Louisville it is Dalton Carl, Patrick Williams, Cam Costa, Nick Beeman, and Jack Bowers out on the ice to start it out. For Indiana, it is yet to be decided, or at least yet to be communicated to us over here in the broadcast booth. But Garrett, Indiana coming off a strong close against Kentucky last weekend, where they split the series, winning Saturday night's game, both Midnight Madness games, and that was an exhausting bus ride after a good win.
Yeah, no question. It was great for the boys to be able to get out of there with a win on Saturday, something that they haven't done a whole lot this year, but they're wearing the same jerseys that they were in that game, the black ones as well. I've got the same suit on. I don't know about you, Sam, but I'm going to let it ride.
I changed the tie, I'll be honest. I did change the tie to get a little red in there. Well, we will give everybody a chance to shuffle things around at the scorer's table. A lot of interns tonight, Garrett.
Here we go.
Garrett, who do you think we will see for Indiana to have the biggest impact offensively?
you got to look at number 29, Will Jeremy, as we have all season long. But I feel like Aiden Semino's been kind of caged up the past couple games. I would expect him to break out of his shell and get something going today as well. Look out for number 27.
Yeah, he's a guy that is sneaky fast on the ice, and his line is a big-time production line. Well, we'll send it to ice level for the national anthem. It's time for puck drop between the Hoosiers of Indiana University and the Cardinals of the University of Louisville. Just a 2-hour car or bus ride separates these two schools, and they are all too friendly with each other, as we've mentioned. Since Indiana joined the Tri-State Collegiate Hockey League, they are 4-0 against these Cardinals, and Cam Walsh presiding over most of the losses. Last time these two squared up in this specific barn, Garrett, it was a 3-2 shootout win for Indiana that, you said it best, it was a gong show. There were several fans thrown out. The fan that was climbing the netting and the railing in a Browns jersey, I believe it was a Johnny Manziel jersey.
It was, which made it even all the more fitting.
Well, we've given you Louisville starting lineup, and now for Indiana, it's going to be that Semino, Chambers, Michelli line. And on D, Hogan and Whitliff. Indiana in black sweaters from right to left on your radio dial, and the visiting team from the city of Louisville in red sweaters from left to right. In between the pipes is Walsh for Louisville, and for IU is Sammy Billis. We're underway here in Bloomington, Indiana, as immediately Michelli gets bounced right in front of the bench, and the play is blown dead with 19:41 to go here in the first period.
And early on, Sam, this season, it seems like teams have been going at Drew Michelli a bit. They know he's a little undersized, and they have been definitely trying to hit him around. He's taken a lot of hits, but he just gets right back up, and he's done a good job ducking hits as well, spinning away from him.
Louisville playing around with it right in front of the Indiana net. A shot on, coming off the stick of Costa, their leading scorer this year, is turned away into the far corner where it rolls through the trapezoid, and right behind, centered in front. Billis watches it whiz past his face. Now into the near side corner. Costa turning tail and swiveling back and forth in the corner, being pressed by Hogan. Now Chambers jumps in on the fun, and Michelli waves his stick at the puck. Dalton Carl, another guy who's a veteran of this series, played in the 2019 edition of this game. A 6-5 win at Louisville was the result his freshman year. Still Indiana trying to get it out of their own zone. Finally, Semino clears it along the blue line and sends it the width of the neutral zone. A shot on for Michelli, gobbled up after a little wobble by Cam Walsh for the first shot on goal for Indiana of the night, with a minute and a half or so ticking off this first frame.
Walsh and Billis was the same goalie matchup we got last year as well, Sam, in that shootout. And they both went at it all night. I would expect another pitcher's duel, if you will, here today.
Face off to the stick side of the aforementioned Cameron Walsh, who went 11-6 last year. Obviously, 2 of those 6 losses came at the hands of Indiana. Centering attempt, waved at. A big save by Billis. A swinging shot by Ty Morgan. And Billis is able to freeze the puck and stop the play.
Cam Walsh also representing his team as an alternate captain with the A on his chest as well, something that you don't normally see for a goaltender.
The draw on the near side along the glass. Punched against the glass is Hawkins, and then DiLorenzo sidesteps a check. Fed back into the near side corner. Chasing after it is Hawkins. He shovels it along the window, and DiLorenzo is able to turn it, but can't keep it into the zone. The Cardinals, and scooping it up on a charge is Brandenburg. He's got some space. Tries to give it to a teammate on the dot, but no one was there. And the puck bounces up and hits the ceiling. Just 32 feet separate the ice and the metal, Garrett. We've talked about it at length, and this is one of the hardest barns for opponents to come into. The neutral zone is 20 feet too short, and the roof is not very forgiving when it comes to chipping pucks out of the zone. The banners or the rafters.
It's a condensed game, Sam, and a lot of opponents don't really know how to handle it.
For those of you not super familiar with it, it's sort of like playing baseball at Fenway with the green monster on both sides. Nearly 2 minutes have elapsed here in the first frame. Indiana playing around with it. Null, a tricky little dump off, trying to get to a Flaherty. Null's shot gets deflected and spits up into the rafters above the disco ball. That continues to spin ever so slightly. 18:05 to go here in period number 1, and still donuts and goose eggs up on the big board.
Jack Knoll had the big shootout goal for Indiana in the game last year. He actually led off the lineup and ripped it right past Walsh. An absolute screamer of a shot.
Another shot attempt by Null is turned aside by the leg of a Cardinal skater. Null pitchforks it back into the zone. O'Flaherty skates onto it, gets turned around. A one-timer for McDonald. Pushed away, and then McDonald lays the body as he's known to do. Sidestepping a man, that's Parker Gee entering the zone. Kicker blows a tire. Fed right in front. Holding it for himself, still spinning into the corner. Parker Gee trying to get a cycle going, but instead it's poked away. Null reaches for it, but he gets his pocket picked by Parker Gee, who had a very intense shift, Garrett. Puck spun all the way around the wall, and the deflection caroms over toward Castricani. Had a goal last weekend, and he tries to wobble the puck free. Offenbach with a shot as Castricani gets dumped in the corner. Puck rolls end over end back toward the stick of Hogan, who flicks it against the glass, where Offenbach gets laid out again. Castricani gaining some speed, piston crossovers over at the near side dot. Centered a wobbler that floats into the glove, and Walsh is able to catch that butterfly. 3 minutes have been played here in the first, and Garrett, the speed of this game always feels like it's more intense.
Yeah, the boys have been flying early on, and it looked like Castricani wanted a penalty on the previous play as he was talking to the ref a little bit as they were going back up the ice. Looked like it could have been a potential boarding situation.
Shot through traffic from the stick of Whitliff, a wrister that was kicked away by the right pillow of Walsh. Whitliff playing catch with his D partner Hogan. Some unusual line changes this evening, guys that don't always get into the action. Hogan out on the ice, as well as Offenbach. For Offenbach, his 5th game played this year. A swing and a drive from Offie, and it's punched out of the air and into the netting behind the cage. With 16:34 to go here in the first frame of this 2-game series. As we mentioned, the all-time record between these two schools is 7-5-0 in favor of Indiana. Dating back so far, we don't even have a year for that first game. Micheli, a quick shot, but he is stifled, and it rims around where Costa collects it. Gets kicked back into the zone. Chambers lunging for it, but he can't get it. Now Costa, all by himself, he gives it up, and the puck just sits in the middle of open ice before he gets drilled. Dylan Dinzik going down hard. And the Cardinals have to vacate the zone temporarily. Chipping it back in behind the tail of the linesman, referee. And now to the far side, it toilet bowls around. Simoneau absorbs a big body check. Chambers pokes it against the glass and ends up having to collect it behind his own net. We've played 4 and change here in the first. No score for either side. Shots on goal at 4-1 in favor of Indiana, who just iced the puck and will have to sit back on their heels and deal with another face-off in their own end.
Yeah, this is the first stoppage we've had in a couple minutes of play, and you mentioned Offenbach letting it rip early on. He has 2 of the 4 Indiana shots right now. Louisville still only gotten 1 puck on Billis here.
Chambers in the dot against Dalton Carl. Chambers has been an offensive spark plug for Indiana, winning 21 out of 30 faceoffs on Saturday against Kentucky. Big dipsy-do and a toe drag. Chambers entering the zone, being harassed from behind by Carl, who he just took the faceoff against. Fed to the backside. That's Goodfellow who blows a tire. And then Michelli pushing around Dylan Dinzig. Fed right in front. Billis tries to block a second attempt. Sliding right through the crease and then shoveled away. Michelli gets smacked up against the glass, and he is down, not having moved yet. Play still continues on the near side, and it's Dinzig getting into it with Brandenburg. Michelli still trying to get back over as he clambers over the boards. And Garrett, we've talked about it. It's going to be a gong show. We've already got pushing and shoving, and we may have our first power play opportunity.
And Sam, Louisville's now up to 7 hits early on in this game, and Michelli's taken at least 4 of them. They've really been attacking number 3 in black for Indiana here, and he was slow to get up after that last one.
It'll be a 4-on-4 for the first time tonight. There are men in the sin bin. 15:05 to play here in the first, in the face-off between Will Jeremy and Ty Morgan has been blown dead as they have a discussion over at the scorer's table.
Faceoffs are 8-1 in favor of Indiana. That's part of the reason why they're dominating the shots early on. They were, at least, until Louisville got 2 on the last possession. Indiana's been winning every single faceoff.
Well, Garrett, that is just a huge way to gain the momentum in the play and in the series, really, with this back-to-back. Next game Saturday evening, 7 p.m. at the Iceland Sports Complex. But if you're able to get the puck right back, and if you know that you have confidence in your guys, that's got to be a big motivational booster.
No question about that. It looks like they're trying to show Matt McKay how to get the penalties up on the board over there.
Well, I don't blame him for not knowing. He's usually on the ice or, on occasion, receiving the penalties in question. Face-off whacked at, and after the tie-up, it's pushed forward. Now toward Morgan. He enters the zone, and a snapper caught high above the face mask of Sammy Billis. He lunged out to try and make that happen.
We now have the goal horn, or the goal light, going off.
Well, Garrett, I know it works because I was the one who fixed it a few weekends ago, but I don't think they noticed yet that they have to flick that switch. And now they've messed with the horn button over there, Garrett. They're having some fun.
Oh, gee.
Garrett, the worst part is they're labeled. Be that as it may, face off to the far side of Sammy Billis. Indiana on their heels yet again. Burkhart lets the puck slide by him and gives it up to Beeman. Beeman working in the corner. Still a 4-on-4. Kicker charges into the corner. Dipsy-do. And Beeman beats him. Centering in front. Burkhart doesn't get the pass. Bounces against the trapezoid. A shovel shot right in front. And DiLorenzo lunges to stop the play. Now Kicker pushing it forward. Here's Jeremy. He's got DiLorenzo to the far side. DiLorenzo shoots and scores! Ethan DiLorenzo draws first blood on behalf of Indiana. His 7th goal of the year, his 22nd career goal for the Hoosiers. 14:27 to go here in period 1. And the Indiana team back in front, picking up right where they left off the last time they played the Cards, Garrett.
Yeah, and right there, Louisville won their first faceoff that didn't take place in neutral ice, but it led to a 2-on-1 for Indiana, and DiLorenzo stuffs it home.
Garrett, that's another one of those 4-on-4 rushes that Indiana gets quite often now. Flung along the glass, and McDonald gets it yanked away from him by Dalton Carl. Carl along the circumference of that far circle, and it spins like a top over toward O'Flaherty, who then sauces it over toward Whitliff before getting dumped. Now to McDonald entering the zone. A swing and a drive, punched into the air and rimming around the windowsill. O'Flaherty's got the hardest shot on this team, and it's not a debate, Garrett. Slap shots or wristers. Again, Indiana holds the zone, and Walsh holds it tight in his leather. A shot that was chest high. 13:40 to go here in the first period. And 1-0 the score in favor of the Hoosiers, although the big scoreboard does not quite have that goal up yet.
O'Flaherty missed a lot of time with a broken wrist last season as well, Sam, but that did not take any velocity off of his slap shot. There's no question he can still let it rip, and it's going to be a tough task for Walsh if he's got O'Flaherty sending shots at him like that, along with Jack Knoll, who likes to do the same thing.
Will Jeremy leading the team in points. He's already got double-digit assists and goals. Warner back and forth with Hawkins on a wall pass, then threaded into the center circle. Here's Castricani going backhand, moving to the front hand. He gets tripped and play continues. And the Cards might have an odd man rush. Instead, Indiana collects it, and Warner chips it for Indiana to chase eventually. Castricani being an antagonistic forechecker before retreating. Deflecting off a skate blade, Warner uses his fists to move a body. And it's carried out of trouble by Hawkins on the far side, rushing across his own bench. And now to Castricani after it went off of his tape. He gets spun around and dispossessed. Tandem working. That's Shredders alongside Nick Beeman. Now in front, a quick shot by Kissel, poked away. Into the corner where Goodfellow gets drilled. Finally getting back up, and he's doing some serious pushing and shoving. Real rugby scrum. Now it's pulled away by Offenbach to the far side. Kicker, it goes under his stick blade. Now Kissel getting checked in the back of the head from behind, but play is still going. And a stretch pass that wobbles right past the end of Jake Shredder's twig, and icing will be blown. And so a hectic period of nonstop action, Garrett. 12:33 to go in the first. And that was about as fast-paced and physical as you'll see.
What a sequence that was right there. You mentioned Kissel was crashing the net, and he got cross-checked right in the back pretty blatantly. Officials didn't see it. I thought that should be a surefire power play for Indiana there, but we play on.
Well, Garrett, we know that they let them play in the tee. And oftentimes that is to the advantage of both schools playing. Draw won by the Cards. Brandenburg charges in, trying to steal it away. DiLorenzo, who just scored, can't win it back for his side either. And Billis watches the puck whiz past him on the near side. Cards can't hold the zone, have to vacate. And a delayed offside now waved off. Again, a little back and forth, nobody controlling. Goodfellow throws it forward and toilet bowls it to the far side. Skating onto it is Beeman, who collects it with pleasure. Back into the corner, a delayed call on the ice. Whistle still hasn't been blown, and it looks like Indiana is going to be down a skater. So an empty net for the Cards as they have a penalty coming to them. Charging forward, that's Colton Ryan, and Indiana finally touches it up with 11.5 to go. And a hook will be the call. So the goal scorer, Ethan DiLorenzo, gets his name on the score sheet twice in the same period, Garrett.
Yeah, he's buzzing around the ice, doing some positive things, but the Indiana penalty kill forced to have their first test here. It looks like we finally have everything we need up on the scoreboard, so we got some reinforcements over there, it looks like.
Indiana has been subpar on the power play, but on the penalty kill, they have not been too bad. 84% so far this year. Dalton Carl working the far circle, giving up to Zaritsky. Back toward Carl at the far circle. A worm burner, whisked away by Chambers, and it slides 180 feet or so. And Indiana opts not to change their killers yet. Quarterbacking the set play was Zaritsky. He feeds to the near side where Costa moves along on it. Simino gives his man a little shove, and then Costa gets run into the boards again. Zaritsky moving in, and Costa nearly goes down to his shin protector again. He has been harassed thus far. Whitliff gives him a good shove on the backside. Poked away. Timmons rushes into the trapezoid, using every bit of body he has, and drags his man down. That was Ty Morgan who ended up going down. Zaritsky at the point. In front of Indiana's bench, Carl dumps it into the corner. Halfway through this penalty on the Indiana skater, Ethan DiLorenzo. To the near side post and thrown to the corner again. Costa surveys his options. Now to Zaritsky working the blue line. Back to Costa. To the backside. Carl can't get it to go. A second chance one-timer. Score! Hard to tell who it came from or if a deflection caused it. But with 10:08 to go here in the first, we're all knotted up at a tally apiece. And it looks like Jake Chickalise will take credit for this goal, Garrett.
Yeah, and it was off a couple rebound opportunities there for Louisville, and Billis was trying to find where the puck was. Chickalise ended up letting a wrister go that stuck up perfectly in the top shelf right there. That was a heck of a shot.
So we are yet to reach the halfway point of this first frame, and already we have a change in the scoreboard on both sides. Power play marker for Louisville. And for Chickalise, a guy who has been in plenty of these Indiana-Louisville games, gets his 5th goal of the season. Draw on top of the City of Bloomington logo at center ice, won by Indiana. McDonald tries a one-man cavalry charge, spinning along the goal line, tries a wraparound, thinks about it. Little stick handling, pushing in front of the cage, and now Warner finds it, throws it along the traffic, and Hawkins chips it to keep it into the zone. This time he can't hold the line, and Warner has to give it a little push back into the Louisville defending third. Knocked off the glass and deflected by a hand. Now pushing forward is Parker Joyce. He gets it stolen around. It's misplayed by O'Flaherty. Here's Joyce to the backside. His pass did not reach the intended target. Chopping at it was Jake Zima. Null backhands it forward. And after a body blow, Offenbach lets it slide all the way to the point where Warner fires it on. 9 and change to go here in the first period. 1-1 the score as Indiana gets a quick change, as do the Cards. Warner really circling the wagons, dispossessed by Anestis. And Hawkins again, the fellow number 10, having some trouble holding on to this possession. We're at even strength, but it feels at the moment like Indiana's been on a penalty kill for 3 minutes, Garrett.
And Indiana's got to be careful not to turn the puck over in their own zone like Warner just did there. He had options to pass, but he tried to finesse around the defender, if you will. You just got to play your lanes and do some bank passes off the boards, try to get up the ice here.
Draw to the stick side of Billis, won by Indiana. That's Warner who hits the side of the cage, and a whistle will be drawn. But Indiana's able to collect it, and Billis meanders over toward the bench. Offenbach has it on his stick. Delayed penalty coming. Gives it off to Kissel, who zips around the corner before the Cards touch it up. And another hook, this time on the Cardinals, with 8.5 to go here in the first.
Indiana coming off of a game against Kentucky where they had 4 power play goals, Sam. We liked what we saw. They've been improving the power play unit all year. Let's see if they can keep it going.
They started out 0 for 25 on the power play, Garrett, and it was something that was talked about at length, something they've worked on at practice pretty much every day, or at least every week, trying to change things up, mix the lines around. Perhaps the strategy overall as well, trying to figure out what works. Costa and Jeremy lock horns, and it's won by Indiana to Jeremy outside the circle, fed to the backside. McDonald watches it wobble off of his stick. Whitliff, tape to tape, and Jeremy enters the zone again. 2-man weave. Jeremy feeds it over to the backside. That's O'Flaherty with a no-look dump. Castracani surveys his options as Indiana's on the power play. Only 30 seconds have elapsed, and Indiana trying to set up a cycle. McDonald to the near side. Jeremy slides around his man, and then still getting pushed around. Another 180, driving into the dot, kicks it to himself, and O'Flaherty gathers it at the blue line. Indiana still on the attack. Jeremy a drive. High shot bounces off the fireplace. Now to O'Flaherty, working outside the circle. Castracani dangles around with it. And a quick shot right in front of Wall. She somehow puts a chest in front of it, and it's collected by Jeremy halfway through this power play for Indiana. Whitliff dances outside along the goal line. Tries to find an option, decides on Jeremy, and he misplays it. It went off the heel of his stick. And finally, those tired killers for Louisville will get a chance to change. A long shift for those guys and a lot of sustained pressure.
And they failed to register a shot despite all that possession time in the Louisville zone. Sam, diving into the numbers a little bit further, they had 3 power play goals before Saturday. They had 4 on Saturday itself, so more than their season total in one game.
Well, a quick shorthanded opportunity is thwarted by Billis as the shot goes straight up into the ceiling and nearly hits the HVAC system. So 22 ticks left on this power play for Indiana. and on the season, 20%. Although, Garrett, it's looking a lot better than it did at the start of the year.
Yeah, no question. They had the puck in the zone for over a minute there. They just didn't really get any shots on net there.
We finally have guys who have multiple power play goals. Michele is the first with one of them, and DiLorenzo also has a crooked number in the power play goals category on the score sheet. Flipped up into the zone, and Walsh scoops it up off a bounce with 3 seconds remaining on the advantage for IU, and 6:36 to go in period number 1, with the score still tied at 1 apiece thanks to DiLorenzo's opener and a goal from the Cardinals.
Indiana could potentially get something off the face-off here while they've still got the advantage. They only have 3 seconds left on the power play, but it is going to take some time to get that extra skater.
Off the draw, DiLorenzo's shot doesn't hit the target, and now Kissel gets stood up in the corner. Push free, Castrocani watches it move around him, and it goes back into the zone, the puck does. Parker G forcing it through the trapezoid. Cardinals on their heels, finally trying to get some momentum in the right direction. Sidestepping a big hip check was Colton Ryan. Ryan turns around, feeds a one-timer, in front, back off the cage and scores! The Cardinals put a crooked number up on the board. It's Parker Gee, the junior, breaking the deadlock with 6 and change to go in the first. And for the first time in a long time in this series, Indiana are no longer in the driving seat.
Yeah, just another rebound that squirted out in front right there, and both Louisville's goals coming off rebound opportunities early, so it's going to be something Indiana is going to emphasize at the end of the first here.
A lot of fans in the building for this game. Garrett, it's always a near sellout or a full sellout between these two teams. And for the Cardinals, you're not able to use your season pass for the Indiana-Louisville game because it's such a big draw. Offenbach dangles, a quick shot, gets a stick lift, up into the air, floats forward, along the goal line. A mad scramble, and Walsh belly flops onto the paint. Finally getting the puck in his grasp. And Garrett, a wild sequence. Offenbach nearly had his first of the year.
Yeah, and he's been letting the shots rip early. He had 2 of Indiana's 4 early on in the game. The Hoosiers now up to 10 shots on goal, and Offie continuing to pile them up and try to get some attempts on here. He's making use of his time thus far.
Absolutely. Only got 1 shift on Saturday against Kentucky, and he's been out there for a goodly bit in this first period. Simino collects it, and a wobbler along the blue line. Ricochets onto the stick of Zach Burkhart. Big body blow. Whitliff knocks Hogan around in some friendly fire. Simino gets a hip check from the side. Chambers turns 90 degrees and then gets smacked along the glass. Simino in open ice. Gains the zone, but it's immediately dispossessed from him. Burkhart again rushing in. Pulls it back to himself. Feeds to the backside. Chopped at. Jake Chickalise moving in, who got one of the goals so far for the Cards. Simino with some open ice in front of him, but Offenbach can't play it off a skate blade. Now right in front of us, the glass vibrates, and O'Flaherty gains the zone. He slides around. Can't get the wrist off, and Indiana loses the zone again as Kicker retreats into his own side, misplaying it, and finally getting it over to Tommy McDonald. McDonald was ejected from the game on Saturday, as he has happened to him on occasion, Garrett.
Every now and then now.
O'Flaherty trying to enter the zone. Instead, it's poked up into the air and bounces between stick blades. Nobody really getting a good shot on it. Played up against the boards. And in the near circle, a swinging shot. Ramirez can't put it on target, and now that's Parker Joyce going down into a heap. McDonald, little toey, and finally kicks it to himself and crosses the blue line. Whole lot of speed along the goal line. Doesn't do a sharp angle shot. And Null tries to whack it toward the D-man Warner. Close but no cigar, and back on the rush for the Cards. That's Shredders. Punched right in front. Carl thinks about a backhander. It's whacked away again. Now through traffic, Billis kicks it away with his left pad, and it floats up into the air, hovering there for a moment before coming back down to the ice. 3 3/4 minutes to play here in the first. Indiana trailing at home. Warner dumps it, leaves it for DiLorenzo. Gets fed back in the end zone, and the centering pass is picked up by Costa. Fed in front to Carl on an odd man rush. Now it's Hawkins who sends it along the boards in front of Louisville. Their bench, that is. And it gets banged against the boards. This time as Indiana has to vacate. Brandenburg and Jeremy trying to get the puck back. And now over toward Dylan Dinzig. Poked away. Here's Brandenburg with some space. No one helping him. A quick shot right into the big L on the chest of Cam Walsh, the netminder. And with 3:07 to go here in the first, Indiana keeping up the attack. And yet another shot on goal. That makes it 12, Garrett.
Yeah, Indiana, they had the early shot advantage, but Louisville came storming back to have a slight edge through the middle of the first, but Indiana back in the lead, as you mentioned, and part of that, as we mentioned before, has to do with the faceoffs. Indiana just continuing to dominate the dot.
On the season, Indiana winning about 57% of the faceoffs that they take. And really, Garrett, that's a much higher number than you would normally expect, although it does seem like it's not that big of a margin.
They have more faceoff wins in Louisville's zone than Louisville does total for the game. They have 8 in the offensive zone, so they're going to generate a lot of opportunities, make it 9.
Puck rolls to the blue line where Whitliff keeps it in. Centered to the backside. Offenbach waves at it, and it bounces free. Into the middle. Here comes Ryan. He can't corral it either, and Whitliff trips up, and it bounces past him again. Another battle right behind Sammy Billis, craning his neck every which way, now turning over his right shoulder to find the puck. Has it in his field of vision, and Indiana has it clear of the zone. Into center ice, no one knew where the puck was, back into the zone. A quick shot, Billis, a good waffle board save, and it rolls back toward him on the backside. Castracani picking up some speed all by himself. 5-on-1 as Indiana gets a change. And it's smacked against the boards. Now to Simino. He's got men in tow this time. To the backside, McDonald has trouble holding on to it and then gets a shove in the face mask before the puck rolls all the way across, stopping right in front of the goal line. Stolen away by Anestis. And then Goodfellow is able to stop the bleeding. Burkhart causing some trouble in the neutral zone, and Chambers backhands it into the zone where roulette wheels to the far side. Under 120 seconds to play in the first. Kicker through traffic, bounces up into the air off a skate blade. Chambers a no-look shot, and Walsh calmly slaps his glove on top of it with 1:36 to go here in the first. Well, one guy that has been on the ice plenty for Louisville so far, Cam Costa with 23 points, leads this Cardinals team. He's got 12 goals and 11 assists coming into this evening's matchup. Draw on the near side, Indiana on the attack. They win another one, Garrett. I've been saying that quite a lot. Here comes Simino through the trees, a shot held by the glove of Walsh, despite several goalie screens.
Indiana's gotten quite a few opportunities here in these past couple minutes. Cam Walsh has been flashing the leather, though, and part of that is the reason why Louisville still has the lead. Indiana now with 15 shots compared to just 10 for the Cardinals.
In this series, the team that scores first has won 12 games. Shot that whizzes past the bar on the near side. Rolling lazily before being forced into the neutral zone. Little dipsy-do by Ty Morgan. He gets smacked against the glass in front of the parents. Chambers jamming at it, and play is blown dead. We may have it over and back with 71 seconds to go here in the first. Indiana still trailing. Chick Elise, the goal scorer, on the first one that tied it up. And then Parker Gee knocked it past Billis to break the deadlock. Face off along the blue line. Right in front, Carl. A good shot. He twists around, and Timmons fires it off the glass way back into the Louisville zone. Under a minute to play in period number 1 between these two very physical opponents. O'Flaherty gets turned around. Timmons spins around his marker, Cam Costa. He carries it through center ice and chips it off the glass. And it ricochets over toward Offenbach. On the near side, little toe drag. Another one. He's moving around everybody. And finally, Timmons enters the zone successfully for Indiana. Gets turned around, and it's off a skate blade into the near side corner. 30 seconds to play here in the first. Null dropping a body. Costa doing the work as well. Here's DiLorenzo. Tries to line up a wrister but couldn't get the space. Rolling through the center. And Carl decides to flip around. Unsuccessful zone entry, and Billis has to collect it in front of his own crease with 7.4 seconds to go. Shots on goal now 15-10 in favor of Indiana. And the hits, Garrett, much closer.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. We got 14 on Indiana's side and 12 for Louisville, so already 26. This is going to be a long weekend, and there's no question everybody's going to be bruised up when Sunday comes around. Indiana, sorry about that to interrupt you, but Indiana has to go on the defensive here in these final 7 seconds. Very important.
Indiana averages almost 40 shots a game. Puck rolls over toward DiLorenzo. 1 second, his shot off the crossbar and into the ceiling.
Wow.
And a high adrenaline first 20 minutes comes to a close with the visitors out front. 2-1 Louisville after the end of the first. What a period. The crowd were on their feet for the majority of that, Garrett.
Yeah, and I mentioned Indiana had to go on the defensive, but DiLorenzo somehow managed to leak out on the near side right by us, and he got a shot that ended up hitting the crossbar. Just Indiana's luck tonight in that first period. Unfortunate for the Hoosiers, but there's still 40 minutes left in this one.
Well, as we said, 2-1 is the score. At the end of one, alongside Garrett Drake, I'm Sam Weixler for the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. And as always, I'll see you in the third.
20 minutes in the books here in Bloomington, and the Hoosiers already trailing 2-1 through 20. Louisville so far has just dominated the Hoosiers. I mean, it's been all Louisville so far. The Hoosiers did outshoot them 16-10 and outhit them 14-12. So the numbers say the Hoosiers should be in favor, but they really never got a chance to set up any offense except for the power play and the 4-on-4. The Hoosiers did a great job with odd man rushes going the other way, but they really have not done a great job helping out Billis on his own side of the cage. In the second period, you hope to look for a little bit more time with the puck, possession, just slowing it down. The hits have been good, as we said, but the Hoosiers just have to dominate a little bit more and try to get a little bit more physical for those 50-50 pucks. You've seen a lot of those red sweaters tonight rather than those black sweaters coming out with those pucks. And at the end of the day, what's going to win you those games and set you up offense in the zone is winning those battles. So start doing that. Again, as we said, great job on shots. And as we looked at period 2, I think all the Hoosiers have to do is just slow down on defense a little bit and find a way to start getting in the offensive zone, slow it down again, get more shots, quality shots that is, not just those ones coming from the blue line and taking a shot on net. Getting people up front and doing Hoosier hockey. I think that's all they've got to do. And I'll be joining Garrett Drake live for period 2 once the Zamboni is done cleaning up the ice.
And welcome back to the beginning of period number 2 on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network from the Frank Southern Ice Arena in Bloomington. I'm Garrett Drake alongside Andrew Gus. And as of now, Louisville with a 2-1 lead as we get set for the second 20-minute frame here as the officials take the ice. And Andrew, we saw a physical first period on both sides. Indiana with 14 hits and Louisville with 12. And Drew Michelli took quite a few of those for Indiana.
You're right about that. It does not help having his size as it is sometimes. Sometimes it's an advantage. In that case, in time, the first 2 shifts, he texted Sam Weixler between periods and said he got hit 6 times and no penalties called. And from my point of view here in the arena, I saw quite a few that I thought definitely could have been considered penalties without him having the puck interference. So definitely something to look out for. Louisville, as we said, a very physical team as well, just like the Indiana Hoosiers. And sometimes their physicality let out a little bit too much there when there was no puck in the zone. So definitely look out for that. And we'll see if the referees tighten up a little bit and call, because we've seen a few extracurriculars, not as many as we've seen before, but there's definitely some extracurriculars, that's for sure.
And we only expect that to continue as these past couple days transpire here. Still waiting for both teams to come out of the tunnel. Looks like Louisville getting set to step on the ice here, and then Indiana should follow. And we'll be ready to go right after that. I was very surprised early on with just the amount of speed that we saw, the amount of shots taken in the first period. 16 for Indiana, 10 for Louisville, so 26 was the grand total in that frame. And both goaltenders have been busy. Sammy Billis gave up a couple rebound opportunities that the Cardinals cashed in on. And Cam Walsh has looked pretty solid thus far, especially with his glove hand.
You're right about that. And as I was saying earlier in the pregame show, middle frame show, we just really did not get many opportunities to really start and slow down in the zone, making him move. It was trying to just fast break shots, and that was about it. So we'll see if that really helps us out, if we can find a way to contest him a little bit more and give him some more chances.
Coach Brian Graham talking to his line that's set to start the period here by the bench, and we're about ready for action as the linesman heads to center ice for the puck drop. Indiana dominated the faceoffs in the first. 20-8 was the advantage in that category, Andrew, and they had more faceoff wins in Louisville territory than the Cardinals did total, so that was another key factor in Indiana generating some scoring chances. I would expect that to continue as the game goes on here, because really that's been the story all season long.
Definitely right about that, G. And we see you win those face-offs and you have the puck right away. That's just a great advantage rather than having to forecheck instantly.
And here we go. The second frame is underway from the Frank Southern Ice Arena, and Louisville controls the opening face-off, making me eat my words a little bit there, as they have the early edge in that category now in the second. And that sequence taking off 11 seconds. So we'll line it up again. Dalton Carl will take the draw, going against Andrew Chambers for Indiana. And the Hoosiers able to control the faceoff and exit the zone. Now going the other way, the puck is grabbed by Jake Bowers, and he rings one around the boards, grabbed by Whitliff. Whitliff whiffs on that one on the fresh cut ice, and now back through the neutral zone the puck goes. Leaking out in front right there is Costa. Whitliff bumps him into the wall, and then coming in for reinforcements is Adam Offenbach. Chambers plays it over to DiLorenzo, the goal scorer for Indiana. Now on the far side, Carl plays that one behind and takes a hit from Simino as he does. Now into the corner they go. It's taken there by Dinzik. Now up top at the blue line. Shot sent on by Patrick Williams and grabbed with the glove by Billis.
And really good job there by the Indiana D there to make a lane for Billis to be able to see that shot the whole way through. That lane was prevented by, I believe, Whitliff, who pushed out a man in front of the net trying to block off that screen there.
So looking at the top scorers on the season for Indiana here, Will Jeremy leading the way so far. He's got 22 points in 12 games, averaging 1.84 points per game. So he's been lighting it up, nearly a 2-point per game player thus far. And he is over a goal a game, so just incredible what Jeremy's been able to do early on in the season. He's already in the scoring column with an assist today on the DiLorenzo goal as well. Brandenburg centering, that one goes behind the net and chased down by Jeremy. Now out in front, Brandenburg slamming a body into the boards there. That puck deflects high off and taken by Jack Hawkins. Hawkins sends that one on. It goes all the way behind. Waffle boarded out of there by Walsh. And that puck flung up into the net.
Lots of physicality there on that shift, starting with Will Jeremy. It looks like he's got some pep in his step right now, and he definitely wants something to happen in favor of the men in black tonight. Him and Jack Hawkins both there, a combined total of 4 hits between the two of them in just a matter of 30-some seconds.
And it looks like they were talking something over there for a moment, but Will Jeremy will take the draw. And it finds Tommy McDonald near the slot. Back up to the point. A shot ripped on by Goodfellow that goes behind the net. McDonald plays that one down to Brandenburg. Now working his way through a couple black jerseys there was Nick Beeman for Louisville. Then getting slammed into the wall is Colton Ryan. Kicker whacks that one out of the zone, and the puck is grabbed by Adam Offenbach. He plays pitch and catch with Brandenburg, who works his way up now. He gets slammed into the glass right in front of us, and Walsh tried to cover that puck, but one of his own players took it from him. They had other ideas. Now Knoll working back the other way. Centers one for O'Flaherty, but it was just out of reach. And now a battle in the corner with Ryan and O'Flaherty. Another body hits the ground, as taking a hit there was Beeman. And the Hoosiers forced to re-enter neutral ice here. Working his way in and getting ripped to the ground is Offenbach. And he's slow to get up after that one. No penalty was called on the play, however. As we mentioned, the physical nature of this game just continuing to increase as we go. 16:41 remaining in the second here. Louisville wins the draw in their own zone. And Casterkane swooping back, puts on the brakes. Bank pass finds DiLorenzo, the goal scorer for Indiana. Hogan tried finding Whitliff, and that pass gets knocked off target. Now Casterkane. Back up to the point. Whitliff sends one on that tried to get deflected. Now loose puck finds DiLorenzo, but it went off his stick. Cam Walsh was standing up in the crease momentarily, trying to figure out where that puck was as Whitliff chases it down. Now the puck behind the net of Billis, and they're able to escape. DiLorenzo swooping into the zone. He's got Kissel with him, who takes a hit from behind and loses possession. Sam Zaritsky back up to the blue line. Big hit by DiLorenzo there. And we'll get a whistle with 15:41 to go here.
Gee, right there, that last drive by the Hoosiers I thought was exactly what we needed to do, slowing things up in the zone. They were working the puck well, although they didn't really get many quality shots still. That'll come with time, as it looked like they were finally starting to get some puck possession right there. That's exactly what you need.
Indiana able to win the faceoff in the neutral zone, and Tommy McDonald trying to find some open ice. He gives it to Timmons. Costa hanging out down there is able to intercept for Louisville. Now at the blue line. Bowers plays that one down. Carl finds Costa. Indiana comes away with it with Timmons. Bouncing puck just misses the stick of McDonald, and it's going to be an icing against the Hoosiers here, so we'll go back to the other end. Nearly 5 minutes played in the second. The score is still 2-1.
I thought that very closely could have been played by both teams there. I'm kind of surprised that was called icing. Just the speed of this game, the referees might have needed a little break there, a quick breather.
Indiana wins the face-off, and McDonald escapes. He's got Aiden Semino working up the ice with him. They find Chambers. Chambers gets his stick lifted at the last second before he could get a shot away. A nice play by the Louisville defense here to stop that rush. It looked like Chambers was ready to let that one rip, too. Semino swooping around the net. Back to the point. Semino pushing and shoving with Dalton Carl, and Griffin Timmons has to retreat with the puck. A couple fresh legs coming onto the ice now for the Hoosiers, including Patrick Brandenburg. The puck, he finds Brandenburg behind the net as he just came on. That one gets played behind. Pass from Parker G, the goal scorer. Now a centering pass for Jeremy right there. He centers one. DiLorenzo with the puck now. Just missing on the pass to Goodfellow there. Indiana putting a lot of mustard on some of these passes. DiLorenzo gets wrapped up and taken to the ice as now Jeremy trying to find a shot. He backhands one that gets deflected high up into the air. DiLorenzo took a whack at it, and now the Cardinals finally clear the zone. That was a long possession for Indiana. Didn't get that many opportunities. Brandenburg shoots one, and it's gobbled up by Walsh, and he takes a whack at the end of the play there, it appeared. Seems to be all right, however. Shots on goal for Indiana, 3 compared to 2 for Louisville, and the Hoosiers with the early edge in the hit category at 8-5. Faceoffs fairly even, 3-2 in favor of the Hoosiers. It seems like as we go on, the game just keeps getting more and more competitive and more close in every aspect. Indiana able to control off the faceoff in the Louisville zone. Now coming up the other way, Burkhart plays it over. Now gets the puck back. Sam Burkhart, or Zach Burkhart, gets run into there. And now McDonald swooping in. It's a one-on-one. He shoots one that goes high off the shoulder of Walsh. And McDonald takes a big hit into the boards. O'Flaherty gets dragged down, and now Whitliff lays a booming hit from behind. Centering pass blocked away by Knoll. A nice play there as they had Ty Morgan swooping in, the junior forward. Hogan. Big hit there as he ends up hitting the deck. Ty Morgan made Hogan pay for that attempt there. Now Jack Knoll just flings that one in and takes a whack as he does so, as he will head to the bench. Casterkane. Nice move around the puck, and they score! Nick Casterkane has tied things up at 2. It looks like he took that one right down into the crease at Walsh. You can see Walsh is upset about it. And it looks like they give the goal to Kissel. He might have been down there to tap in the loose puck. So as of now, it looks like number 24, Jack Kissel, has tied things up for Indiana. That's goal number 2 on the season for him. And he's now up to 7 points in the stat sheet. The senior from Rye, New York.
And all of a sudden we get ourselves a tie game here at 2. That's a great thing with momentum coming here on favor of the Hoosiers.
Hawkins throwing bodies around as Indiana able to control the puck with 11:58 remaining. That one goes all the way down, and it's going to be whistled dead for icing. So the Hoosiers with another offensive zone faceoff opportunity here.
And G finally working the puck down low. I believe that's exactly what the Hoosiers need to do. They've had a lot of success so far this period, moving it down low, starting a cycle, and just initiating dominance in the opponent's zone. I feel like working it below, they're getting Smith to move back and forth, and finally plugged one away.
Indiana wins the faceoff. DiLorenzo gloves the puck down. Now Warner slaps one on that goes wide. Jack Hawkins chases the puck down and plays it for Jeremy, but Louisville able to take it away. That puck hit a leg out front as Colton Ryan was hanging out down near the crease. Warner kicks it to himself. Lets a wrister go that gets blocked right out in front again. That was Ryan getting in the way. 2 blocked shots on that possession for Colton Ryan, and then he takes a big hit at the hands of Brandenburg, and now they're getting into it. And now it looks like they both may be heading for the box. And that's going to be the case, Andrew. So Brandenburg, for the second time today, heading to the penalty box. And he takes Colton Ryan with him, who just blocked a couple shots on the other side. So perhaps that will play to Indiana's favor here, getting him out of the way. And it's going to be a 4-on-4 as well.
The Hoosiers done a pretty good job so far this year on 4-on-4s. They're a very fast and physical team. A little bit more room in the ice is never a bad thing to complain about.
Especially here at the Frank, there's no question about that. You'll take as much room as you can get. Simino with the wraparound. Centering pass finds Kicker, but he was unable to get a shot away. Now from behind the net, they center. Chambers is there, and he takes a couple whacks at it with no success. Now streaking down the other end is Costa. He puts on the brakes. Kicker does a nice job staying with him. Centering pass finds Costa. They go to the backhand, and Billis able to gobble that one up. Indiana now with 7 shots on goal in the frame, just 3 for Louisville, and the Hoosiers have taken over, taking the physicality into their own hands, leading hits at 12-8, and the faceoffs currently sit at 7-3 in favor of the boys in black. I feel like every time I bring up a faceoff stat, Louisville ends up winning it, as a shot was flicked on there by Beeman that goes wide. We're about halfway through the second period, and we've got a tie contest. Kicker sends one on that gets gobbled up by Walsh, and we get a whistle. 10:16 remaining. And 1 minute and 3 seconds of 4-on-4 hockey before both teams back to 5-on-5. Off the draw, it's taken by Whitliff, and he sends one down below. Whitliff able to maintain possession. Cross ice pass finds McDonald. McDonald rips one that Walsh deflected partially, and it ends up gobbling out in front of him to be taken up by the Cardinals. Off the boards, Beeman. They wave off icing as it's chased down by Ty Hogan. McDonald has Hogan with him as he streaks up the ice. Goes around the net. Centering pass. Nobody was there for the Hoosiers. Hogan backhands that one back in as he heads to the bench. Griffin Timmons comes on. Casterkane putting on some early pressure in his own zone. And then he and McDonald run into each other. That was nearly disaster. Casterkane lays a hit down, and Griffin Timmons controls the puck now. We're now back to 5-on-5 as both of the penalties have expired. And Indiana holds the zone. Colton Ryan, fresh out of the penalty box, able to get the puck there. And now Jack Kissel shoots one that gets paddled away by Walsh. Kissel scored the goal for Indiana earlier in the period. Off Casterkane crashing to the net. Kissel followed in and got the loose puck. That shot taken by Anetsis gets deflected high up into the net and takes down the USA flag back there. My goodness. However, there were some people to catch it and avoid the flag from touching the ground. If that's not America, I don't know what is. So the flag never touching the ground as we get a burst of patriotism from the crowd with 8.5 to go in the second. You never know what you're going to get at the Frank. And there's another instance of it right there. Centering pass out front. Billis nearly let that one past him, but he got a piece of it. Ryan centers one. Shot saved out in front by Billis. Again, they reach Billis. A couple whacks. Rebound opportunity still there. Puck is loose. And now it goes up to be taken by Kissel. Tired legs on the ice for the Cardinals. Kissel centers one, but nobody was there. Now O'Flaherty chases it down. And it goes into the netting, so finally they get a breather. So as we look at how the season's gone so far for Indiana, we'll go ahead and pull up their top 5 scoring list here. Will Jeremy currently leading with 12 goals, as we mentioned. 6 goals for Ethan DiLorenzo, now 7 if you include today. Henry Whitliff with 6, Tommy McDonald with 5, and that about rounds up the list for the Hoosiers. So they're getting steady contributions from a number of players. That puck deflected out of play. 7:47 to go here. And they're going to go all the way down to the other side of the ice here, it appears.
That looks like it kicked off a D-Lo stick and out of play, so
just go to the neutral zone.
Cannot be in the Louisville zone.
DiLorenzo drags the puck back in. Goodfellow kicks at it, but Louisville able to come away. Brandenburg sends it back down. Now Patrick Williams looking for reinforcements. Puck battle on the near boards with Brandenburg in there. Bodies hit the floor. Kicker now whacking at the puck. And finally, DiLorenzo able to ring it around. Leaking out in front of the pack is Shredders for the Cardinals, but he gets taken to the ground by Kicker, and we get a whistle. .6:59 to go here in the second. Still a tie contest. It looks like this one is going to be worth the price of admission here today. Indiana wins the faceoff. Whitliff chasing after it. But the Cardinals able to gain possession momentarily, and a big hit laid on there by Hogan, and it's going to be a penalty. So Ty Hogan will go to the box for Indiana. It's only his 3rd penalty of the season. So the Hoosier penalty kill forced back into action with 6:46 remaining in the second here.
Well, the positive of that was he finished his check just a little bit too much.
Crucial face-off win for Louisville here, trying to get their power play off to a good start. Looking for a passing lane up top. Zaritsky keeps it in. Chambers chasing after. Finally, it's backhanded out of the zone by Simino. And Whitliff has a shot at this puck. Now he's got to get back. Working his way in is Cam Costa. Ryan plays it down, and a big hit again as Warner gets run into, and now pushing and shoving in front of the net with Simino, and they're still going at each other. Finally, the officials step in and put an end to it. Already almost a minute gone on the man advantage for Louisville. They've got 1:17 left to try to make something happen. Indiana able to win the face-off, and Hawkins rings that off the boards, and it's cleared by Brandenburg. Walsh comes out to get the puck and leaves it off for a teammate, but Brandenburg wins the race. The puck got stuck up against the boards, and coming out with it for Louisville, Nick Beeman sends one over. Burkhart backhands one taken by Offenbach, and now Indiana can kill a good chunk of this penalty. Ryan tried sidestepping a man, but Jack Hawkins would not let him by, and it's cleared by Offenbach as Indiana gets a quick change. So far, this kill has looked good for the boys in black. Semino clears it again, and Chambers is out in front. Walsh lets the puck go, and Chambers has possession. He finds Semino. Indiana shorthanded with possession in the zone. And the penalty is now over, so we're back to even. Semino sends one on. That was actually Hawkins who let it go, but Walsh is able to cover it. 4:41 remaining. That's the 14th shot of the period for Indiana, just 5 for the Cardinals. So the Hoosiers really starting to take over here. They've also out-hit Louisville 15-10, and the faceoffs currently sit at 13-5 in favor of the Hoosiers. Make it 14. Hawkins works his way through the neutral zone. Losing his stick right there, but still fighting for the puck for Louisville is Jake Zima. And he's kicking it around, finally able to pick up his twig. Chambers gets pressed into the boards. Walsh able to cover, and coming in, laying some checks on people is Zima. He did not want anybody getting near Walsh right there. 4:14 to go.
Back to even strength here. We'll see if the Hoosiers can finally start to establish some more offenses. They got killed there for a little bit, being in the box shorthanded. The score sheets and the stats just all read that the Hoosiers are all in favor, but the scoreboard reads 2-2, still tied even.
Off the draw, Hawkins holds the zone. Knoll tried a behind-the-back pass that was a bit off target, and now coming back in is Cam Costa. O'Flaherty gains possession. Timmons whacks that one to himself, and he goes to work. Into the corner. McDonald gets run into and pushed off the puck. We're going to have a penalty against the Cardinals here, it appears, so Indiana going to the power play.
And thank goodness Griffin Timmons is okay. That was one of those plays that seems to happen to the Hoosiers all the time. The player going towards the boards, kind of falls in trying to stop, and then still gets hit. Normally that goes against us, but once in a million we get a call going for us in that same kind of play.
A Let's Go Hoosiers chant erupting into the crowd as we get a man advantage for the boys in black here. 3:47 remaining. Whitliff able to keep that one in, but Louisville clears, so a nice start to the penalty kill for them. And chasing after the puck, putting some pressure on Billis, was Ty Morgan. But calm and collected, Indiana comes away. Now Jeremy swooping in. Behind the net he goes to the far corner. Now stops near the point. Jeremy centers one. They had McDonald chilling down there, but he was unable to get the puck on his stick. Again, Morgan putting some pressure on, but now he heads to the bench. 1:18 to go on the power play. 3 minutes to go in the period. A 2-2 tie from Bloomington, Indiana. These two teams will be in action in Louisville tomorrow night. That game will also be featured on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network. That puck actually hit Walsh in the chest area and gets deflected out of play.
Still 56 seconds here on the man advantage for the Hoosiers. We'll see if they can establish some offense.
They win the draw. DiLorenzo has that one blocked out in front, and going down in a heap was Beeman, as that one looked like it got him right in the leg. He's still skating around gingerly, trying to contain Kissel near the crease. And just 35 seconds left on the Indiana power play. Burkhart gets all the way to the net, but Billis was able to stop him there. A little closer than you would have liked if you're a Hoosier. 20 seconds remaining on the power play for Indiana, so they might have one more opportunity to get a rush in. Castor Kane leaves it off for Warner. 10 seconds remaining. Castor Kane puts on the brakes. That's going to do it for the man advantage. Even strength we play in Bloomington. That one gets deflected out front. It looks like it hit Knoll up high and goes into the corner. DiLorenzo unable to hold the zone. So Warner will chase it all the way down, but it's going to be an icing against Louisville, so we'll go right back to the other side.
And geez, I say sometimes the ice is tilted in favor of the Hoosiers again. We've seen them a lot here in the second frame on our right side, and that's a great thing to see. Sooner or later, we're going to plug another one in.
Ryan wins the face-off for Louisville, but Will Jeremy steals it. Goodfellow gloves that one down. Now behind the net, Carl whacks at that one. Patrick Williams. And it's going to be another icing against Louisville with 1:12 remaining. So the Cardinals giving Indiana some chances late in the period here, especially considering how the faceoffs have gone to this point. Let's see if they can capitalize. DiLorenzo was looking for Goodfellow, but he bobbled the puck. Now out front, whacking at it, and Brandenburg gets pushed around there. Walsh able to get the glove on it. Time going by very slowly as we approach this final minute. Carl Drew to the near side. That shot made it all the way to the net somehow off the stick of kicker, but now breaking away is Costa. Costa shoots one and he scores. Cam Costa with 49 seconds remaining has put Louisville up 3-2. And just like that, the momentum swings the other way.
Gee, only the 6th shot of the period for Louisville, and they ended up tagging that one top right.
We talked about how big of a factor Cam Costa was in the pregame, and so far he has won the battle between him and Jeremy. Chambers getting tangled up with Drew right there, as again Costa swooping in. Slaps at that one that goes behind Billis, and it's taken by Carl. 30 seconds left in the period.
Gee, just since the boys losing a little bit of the momentum there that they had.
Chambers works his way in, shoots one that goes wide. And now back the other way for the Cardinals. Morgan centers one, but nobody was there. Now we're down to 6 seconds. Whitliff plays that one off the boards, kept in by Carl. That one goes behind the net, and that will conclude things in period number 2. It was a strong period overall for Indiana, but a defensive lapse in the final minute puts them down by a goal as we head to the third. Sam Weixler and myself will be back on the call for that one. Andrew Gus will have the intermission report where we will deep dive into some of the numbers in just a moment. We'll be right back. You've been watching Indiana Hockey on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network.
Club Ice Hockey at Indiana University is brought to you by the following team sponsors: Corson Security, the Blue Blazer Events Group, and Top Flight Hockey. Well, after 40 minutes of play, there's 20 more to go in regulation. The score 3-2 in favor of the visitors from the other side of the Ohio River. Alongside Garrett Drake, I'm Sam Weixler back on the headset. And Garrett, a very fast-paced second frame that really could be indicative of tomorrow's battle.
Yeah, no question. And this game has been so even through the first two periods. Indiana just had a defensive breakdown with about 40 seconds left in the second frame to give up the lead, but it's still anyone's game. Final period of play coming up, and Indiana needs a couple goals here.
Just a reminder, the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network will have tomorrow's rubber match in this series, November the 5th at 7 p.m. We'll travel to the Iceland Sports Complex so you don't have to. Next weekend, Xavier at a home and home, and then the Bloomington boys will travel to the big city where they face DePaul in 2 games in 2 days. Well, both sides are back onto the ice. The fans are standing up on the glass, and we're just about ready for hockey. The 2 goals for Indiana, DiLorenzo and Kissel. For the Cards, it's Chickalise, Guy, and Costa. Garrett, they are laying the chirps on heavy this evening. Indiana in their black sweaters and red bottoms. From right to left, Billis back in between the pipes. And the foes from Louisville. Here comes Carl, a quick shot, top shelf, scores! Before we can even introduce it, it's 4-2. Cardinals double their lead just 9 seconds into this third period. A tough way to start the final frame if you're Indiana.
Yeah, an unlucky way to start right there. Bouncing puck found Dalton Carl, and he buries it past Billis to give the Cardinals a quick start. And they've now doubled up the Hoosiers up. It's 4-2.
9th goal of the year for Carl. And now Brandenburg steals it, moving in toward the net. DiLorenzo chops at it, and Walsh pounces on the puck, and it freezes with 19:43 to go here in regulation. Well, Louisville coming off a game against the Miami Redhawks. They lost both of those games, and it was a bit of a struggle in the home game that was pretty packed by fans. They do a good job in getting folks and putting bodies in the seats, Garrett, down at the Iceland Sports Complex.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a rowdy one tomorrow. Definitely don't want to miss it.
Chopped out after the draw. 2-on-1, odd man rush. On the far side, Costa, a quick shot. Billis kicks it away and it rolls into the corner on the far side. Feathered along the glass by Whitliff, and then Carl gets turned around. Now Hogan chases down the garbage in the near corner, and accosting him was Dinzig. Hogan again spiraling around with DiLorenzo, and Carl being a real pest on this near side, Garrett.
Yeah, he's been all over the ice tonight. Made a couple big hits as well in the offensive zone.
Played along the glass where DiLorenzo ricochets it all the way across, and Indiana will get a change. Well, against common opponents, Indiana 3-2-0, and the Cards 2-4-0. Those common opponents, Virginia Tech, NC State, UNC, and of course the in-league rivals, the Miami Redhawks. Both these teams traveled to Vinton, Virginia a few weekends ago to play in the ACHL, TSCHL Invitational, the pretty interesting tournament they had over in Virginia. And both sides fared pretty well. Offenbach a toe drag. He almost gets lit up but sidesteps the check. Flung against the glass, and it rolls toward Warner. Feigns a shot. Now to Simino, right into the leg of Zaritsky. Rolling around in the crease. Chambers jams at it, and it rolls away to the far side of the post. Hawkins holds the line. Swinging a drive from Warner. Bobbling puck off the bar and to the near side where it's smacked around and sent for an icing.
Wow. They got at least 4 whacks at the puck, sending it towards the net there, and Walsh didn't really move around a whole lot. He just held that near post, but that's all he needed.
shots on goal in this period, already 3-2. And one of those shots for Louisville found the twine.
The very first one.
Off the draw, Null has it, and he gets his stick lifted. On a rush the opposite direction. Here comes Morgan. He lets it roll, and kicker will scoop it up in the corner. Shoveled to the near side where Goodfellow bounces it over his own stick. Enters no man's land, gets pushed against the glass and stays on the puck. Now crosses the goal line and through the trapezoid. Finds kicker, one pass, and a quick swing, and Null hits the post. It was kicked away. Couldn't tell. Now a Flaherty little hand check. Dangling on the far side. Eyes up, trying to survey the options. Now to Goodfellow, dancing back and forth. O'Flaherty tried to line up a one-timer, but now McDonald's the one that collects it. Goodfellow, shot kicked aside by a skater, into traffic right in front. And Null, being the force to be reckoned with that he is, was giving a good goalie screen, but Walsh again seeing the puck well.
He's been feeling the pressure these past couple minutes, has Cam Walsh. Indiana just unable to catch a break here. 5 shots on goal already. And it looks like the Hoosiers perhaps going to the power play here.
And Zaritsky was not thrilled. That's Sam Zaritsky, the junior defenseman, slamming his stick and then slamming the penalty door. So 17:09 to go here in the third. Indiana trailing by a pair. And a 2-minute misdemeanor charge to the Cardinals will give Indiana a chance to chip away at this lead the Cards have developed. Whitliff, a quick shot, bounces and deflects right over the head of the netminder Walsh. Chopped at and slung, bouncing all the way across the sheet. Louisville thinks about a change, but they will keep their boys out there. Now Jeremy gets spun around and yanked. Taking the puck off him was Costa. Little shorthanded chance. And then finally Louisville decides to get some fresh legs out there.
That looked like it was close to a hook as Jeremy was trying to carry the puck up there.
McDonald zigzags along the blue line, but is poked away, and now Jeremy has to deal with it. He retreats and will circle the wagons. Carl harassing. And Indiana trying to line up the odd man rush. Here's Jeremy by himself, poked away, and Carl smacks it against the boards in front of his own bench. 50 seconds have been chipped off of this power play for the Hoosiers. And Garrett, this has slowed down from what we saw in the first and the second.
Pace of play has really been indicative of how the game has gone so far when things have picked up. Indiana has stayed close, but when Louisville takes control and slows it down, they've been able to take advantage. And now with the slow pace, you got to think that's going to favor the Cardinals, so Indiana's got to step on the gas.
Well, this series and this rivalry is all too familiar with comeback wins. In 2019, Louisville scored the first one, and then Indiana answered with 3 in a row before the Cards could stop the bleeding. Shot rainbows right past the crossbar and into the trapezoid. Null peels it off the boards, and it's slung along the ice, finally cleared forward, and Carl chases it down into the far side. 2 black sweaters meet him, and he gets pushed around. A quick shot. Billis stands his ground, and it rolls off of his shoulder. 30 seconds left on this power play for the Hoosiers. We've talked about it plenty. Power play not their strongest situation. DiLorenzo moving around. Feeds to Castricani on the far side. Back to DiLorenzo, and then a miscommunication with 15 seconds left. Indiana will have to get out of the zone. Hand off to Warner. He spins around. And now to Castricani, who chips it into the zone. Bouncing up off of a banner high above the ice. And with 15-14 to go in the third, there are just 6 ticks left on this power play for Indiana.
Yeah, they started it off with a balanced attack that led to a variety of shots coming at Walsh. Unfortunately for Indiana, all of them were at the near post that he had his shoulder wrapped around, covering tightly. So unless they can get a shot right off this draw, it's going to be tough for him to get something here.
Off the face-off, bounces against the glass, the boards, to Timmons. He misses on his first swing and then rolls it to Simino in the corner, sent back behind the net. Right in front, centering pass goes off to the side, and Burkhart carries it away through the center circle and into the attacking zone. 5 aside now as it slides up against the window. Timmons yanks it back toward himself and lets McDonald wheel. Gets pushed around and nearly had himself an open look. Timmons, shot. Just misses on the near side. Now sliding into the corner where McDonald tries to set up. Little head fake, moving through the high slot. Now punching a pass over to Semino. Fakes a slap shot. And again, McDonald dumping it off, trying to give a teammate another chance. Right in front, centering pass, right under the stick of McDonald. Into the corner. Just over 14 to play here in the third. Indiana down by 2. Hawkins, a lofty shot that nearly got deflected back down. Right in front. Chambers got a chance but couldn't make it happen. Indiana gets a change. Louisville decides to do the same, but it'll be a wholesale line change for both sides. Rolls into the zone, and DiLorenzo charges toward it. Brandenburg scoops it up. And now to the blue line. Shot through traffic. That was Hogan trying to make something happen for his side. Whitliff gets pushed around and manhandled. Now moving forward is Ramirez. He gets a clean look. Billis forces a deflection, pops up into the air and back behind the net. Again behind the cage, Billis trying to find the puck. Through traffic, Zaritsky out of the box and trying to make it an impact that is on the offensive side. Now a one-man rush. Here's Jeremy. A quick shot. It bang rolls in. Will Jeremy shaking his jersey to the crowd, pom-poms and all. 13-16 to go here in the third, and Indiana is one step away from climbing all the way back.
Jeremy shot that one so hard that it deflected off of Walsh and just rolled back into the net as Cam Walsh tried to make a diving effort to get it out. Will Jeremy, an incredible display right there, and we talked about the big factors coming into the game. Costa for Louisville and Jeremy for Indiana, and there you go, Sam.
Well, after that goal, the light is still on. They forgot to turn the goal light off, Garrett. Now again towards Walsh. Has to be fired up yet again. Kicked off the board to Castricani. A quick one-timer. And it's a good pillow save by Walsh. Goodfellow, an optimistic shot from the point. Careens into the corner. Dinzik met by a whole slew of black sweaters. Again, Goodfellow throws a shot on. Now to Offenbach, who lets Kicker shoot into the chest of a Louisville skater. Looks like it was his foot now. And trying to pull himself over the boards is Jake Zima. Indiana enters the zone, and it's paddled aside by Walsh. Castricani tries to pull it free to himself. And after leaving that scrum, it rolls to the far corner. 12.5 to go here in the third. 4-3 the score. Louisville still on top. McDonald able to free the puck. Slowly sliding into the far circle. And Kissel turns around. Now working the goal line. Avoids a defenseman. And throws it along the goal line. A sharp angled shot. Hawkins a drive. Good block by the red sweater of Jake Chicalise to block that shot. Again, Castricani nearly runs himself into the net. Onto the far side, and Indiana has to vacate. Hawkins and Warner playing pitch and catch. Change for both sides. Warner again trying to delay and buy some time for his guys. Semino swings at the puck wildly, and it goes toward Walsh. He has to slide just a little bit out of the crease to freeze that puck. So 11:36 to go here in the third, and a one-goal margin separating these two sides.
We've been talking throughout the broadcast that we think it's going to come down to the wire, as it always does between these two teams. And Sam, you mentioned about halfway through, it looks like that's what we're going to get. Crowd getting into it here.
A lot of chance tonight. It's almost like a soccer game, Garrett. Semino can't get the wrister off. Hawkins shoots it in. Under his feet, kicks it back into the zone, and it slides free. Now into the leg of Warner, and it's played forward. Semino with some space, launches it diagonally into the corner now, where DiLorenzo chases after it. No look dump off into the far side. Semino trying to find some space. Now collected by Hogan and punching it back to the corner. Fed right in front. DiLorenzo gets spun around. And it rolls end over end onto the half dashers. Hogan working the blue line. Whitliff, a shot that whizzed along the ice level. Now kicked forward. Burkhart gets stymied by Whitliff. And Hogan again enters the zone. Trying to find some space. Toe drag right over the bar. Bouncing free. And a penalty has been called. Now we've got a line brawl on the far side. Punches being thrown. And this is a real Donnybrook here in the third period. Tempers are flaring and then some. So much tackling, pushing, and shoving and exchanging of ideas that we can't tell who's on the ground.
I believe it was Hogan that ran into the goaltender Walsh as finally he gets up. And he just got jumped near the crease. It was Ty Hogan.
And it looks like we may have an ejection or two. That is Patrick Williams, the junior, being guided off the ice and sent to the changing room.
And then Simino got wrapped up and taken down as well. So you got to think Williams just defending his goalie there, but that got pretty ugly quick.
It absolutely did. Indiana, not a stranger group to rough stuff. They've had ejections in the past 2 straight games, now 3. On the Saturday game, it was Leo Warner and Tommy McDonald being shown the exit at separate times, that is. Tommy in the first and Leo with about 9 seconds left in the regulation. A lot to sort out here, Garrett. What stood out to you in the first 9 minutes and change here in the third?
Well, the physicality is dialed down quite a bit, but part of that I think is because the game has been so fast-paced. Each team with just 3 hits thus far. Indiana, they've had an incredible amount of shots. They have 9 already in this period compared to just 4 for the Cardinals, but both teams have gotten 1 to go in, so Indiana still trailing 4-3 here.
Well, this is not the first time that Cam Walsh has seen a flurry of shots come his way. In 2019, he faced 15 shots in the first period of the game, and his side was only able to put up 4 in that period.
Yeah, Walsh has really kept him in it, and he's a big reason why they have the lead. And it looked like he was down for a little bit after taking that hit that we just saw. I don't know where he is right now. By the bench, about to take the crease again. Looks like he's all right.
Patrick Williams comes back onto the ice. Although it looks like it might be Cam Costa leaning onto his stick, trying to keep himself upright. And Williams has been allowed to go back into the game. Garrett, I don't think I've seen that before.
I don't know how that's possible, really. He sent himself off. Like he must have thought for sure he was done.
Well, there were plenty of punches thrown, and I can't blame him for that reasoning.
Usually when you put a guy in a headlock and basically RKO him, you're gonna get sent off. But he's in the penalty box now, so I don't know.
Well, Kissel, who's evidently been appointed the captain for tonight's contest for Indiana, trying to give Weiss the lowdown on what's going on.
And Indiana has to come away with a power play out of this, you got to think, at least.
Unless they call a goaltender interference, Garrett, that could be even more trouble. Right now on the board, 2 penalties have been shown on the Louisville side of things. Jack Bowers and Patrick Williams sit in the box. Each have 2 minutes up on the board. And we're still waiting for the scorekeepers to put something up for Indiana, although we can already see
there's 2 aside in the box.
They now take off all the penalties and throw up Ty Hogan for 2 minutes. We'll send it to a quick break.
Looks like we're getting ready to go here, possibly.
Well, better late than never.
After all the madness. O'Flaherty is now in the penalty box for Indiana as well, so it looks like the Cardinals are going to come away with a power play here. It is 5-on-4. So a power play for Louisville.
We do have an injury to note. Drew Michelli, winger for Indiana, has been ruled out after an injury he sustained in the first period, and his status going forward after tonight is questionable. Dancing around on the boards, Chick Elise loses possession. And for whatever reason, there's only one penalty up on the board, and it's Ty Hogan for Indiana. It's a 5-on-4 in favor of Louisville. They've got a power play. And a big run taken at Timmons before the puck glances off the glass. And the clock freezing at 10:21 to go here in the third. Well, Garrett, we've had a goal and a line brawl here in the final frame. You can't ask for much more.
I said it was worth the price of admission in the second, and the game continuing to live up to its expectation here.
Zaritsky prevents the puck from jumping on top of his tape. Now to Carl, who wanders around the circumference of the circle. Shot through the trees, kicked away by Billis. And Whitliff fakes a swing at the puck and kicks it free. Morgan has it under his legs and now catches the roller back toward him. At the hash marks. Gets shoved around by Whitliff. And Offenbach is able to clear the puck and send it all the way across, shipping it downriver. 69 seconds left in this penalty to Ty Hogan. We'll have to see if he vacates the box or if that's O'Flaherty in there serving it for him, Garrett. Warner plays it back to Hawkins, who in turn swishes it all the way across turn 1 and 2. Chambers down there harassing on the forecheck, trying to poke it free, nearly does so. That's Parker Gee. Dumped off to Colton Ryan. Now to Burkhart forward. Punched against the glass. Chambers lunging for the puck and can't get it. 30 seconds to go on this 5-on-4 power play for the Cards. Fed across the neutral zone right under Gee. He steps away from a hit, and now it's Dalton lining up a shot. Carl's shot whizzes past Billis' ear and into the corner. Pitchforked free now to Burkhart, working the point. Again to Ryan, his shot doesn't find the target. 10 seconds left on this penalty kill for Indiana, and they may do it. Here's Null, a quick shot straight into the chest of the netminder, Walsh, before Null gets a chest full of shoulder. 8:48 to go here in the third, and still 5 seconds remaining on the penalty.
And we'll have to see. I think they might have given Hogan a double deuce here, one for the hit on Walsh and then one for roughing as well. So that might be why they have O'Flaherty in there right now. But Hogan might have to stay in for another 2 minutes here, but it'll be back to even strength.
If there are multiple 10-minute misconducts being assessed, those guys would come out with just a few ticks left on the clock before the third period ends. And remember, we could have extra hockey if the score calls for it. 3-2 shootout win for Indiana the last time the Cards and Hoosiers faced off at the Frank. Now pushing forward is Morgan. He gets spun down and it flips up right in the front of the crease. Billis paddles it away into the corner. Now Brandenburg gets drilled into the glass and it shakes around. The board's absorbing as much of the impact as it could, but Brandenburg got taken for a ride, Garrett. Finally lifted free. And again, it turns the corner. Collected by DiLorenzo, trying to prevent a sustained attack. Under Goodfellow, and it's Kicker who decides to carry it away. 5 aside, and there's still plenty of bodies in the box. Puck helicopters into the air and right down to the stick of Zima. He goes face first into the snow, and no call. Kissel, one of the goal scorers, dances around in the neutral zone and is dispossessed. Chips up and out of play and hit the netting, and it'll be brought all the way back with 7.5 to go here in the final frame of regulation. Indiana still trailing by that goal after letting Louisville score just moments into this third period.
These next couple minutes, really expect things to pick up. They're going to drop it at center ice here, something you don't see very often.
Zaritsky backtracks and then feeds forward. Zima lets the puck dribble off of his stick. Timmons digs his skates in, and a big hit from behind. Going onto his belly was Zima again. Third big shot he's taken on this shift, and it wasn't on goal. Whitliff getting manhandled, and now it's Castracani who avoids a check. He pauses and thinks about it behind the net before giving it to McDonald. High pass over to Timmons in between two different Louisville skaters, and again Tommy decides to retreat and take a Sunday drive through his own side. gets sent down and slides in front of the scorer's box. Timmons dangles around a defenseman. Now to Warner, who zips a pass to Castricani in the center circle. He gets his stick lifted, and McDonald steps in trying to help out. Ramirez collects it, trying to zigzag through the bodies. His shot goes up and does hit the HVAC system this time, Garrett. So just under 6.5 in the third, and a 1-goal margin in favor of the visitors.
And Indiana really hasn't been in this situation down by a goal late in a game this season. Every time they've lost, it's been by multiple goals for the most part. So it's going to be interesting to see what their decision making is and when they decide to pull Billis, things like that to watch for.
Indiana has only had one empty net opportunity this season, and it came on Friday night just 7 days ago. Rolling forward and thrust into the zone by Dinzik. Not enough red sweaters are around it, and Chambers gets his pocket picked. A shot. Billis controls that and lets the rebound go to a black sweater. Into the neutral zone. Chambers spins around, avoids the linesman, and then plays it into the far corner. Simino prepares to receive the puck. Now right in front, Chambers goes down to a leg. Warner can't hold on to it either, and it's rolling forward. Now to Shredders outside the circle. Big hit as Hawkins finishes his check. Feathered forward to Offenbach. Back and forth through the neutral zone it goes. And Garrett, that's another advantage or disadvantage, however you want to look at it. Such a small neutral zone, no margin for error on the breakout. You've got to make something happen and hit your target. Can't rely on loose pucks to bounce your way. Puck goes sailing into the air. That's Brandenburg, who is stickless. And now a toe drag in the slot. Goodfellow can't deal with it properly. And now it's Ryan again. Pushed off, kicker steps in and smacks the puck away, rolling behind the crease. Will Kicker building up steam, gains the zone, and then gets barreled into the boards. He goes down hard, and they are still trying to get untangled. Puck slides all the way across the sheet, and DiLorenzo meets it as icing is waved off. Reaching for the errant pass was Goodfellow, who twirls and then fires it back to Kicker where it came from. Puck smacks the linesman on the back of the head. He's all right. And on a break, puck floats up into the air. Jeremy trying to make something of it and back into the neutral zone. Kicker D-to-D between Whitliff. 4 minutes and 20 seconds to go here in the third. Indiana down by 1. Jeremy a shot. Centering pass to DiLorenzo off of his tape and wide. Indiana looking for a change as Hogan steps up and gets squished into the boards. He is not getting up in front of us. Play is still continued, and now it's being blown dead as the rubberneckers along the glass are really trying to come over and talk to Hogan and figure out if he's all right. 4:01 to go in the third. Louisville up by a goal, and Hogan is under his own power, but just barely, Garrett.
Yeah, he's laboring over to the bench as we speak. He's definitely going to have to take a couple minutes to shake that one off if he comes back at all here with 4 minutes left. And that was right in front of us, Sam. You could hear the crunch. Looks like he might have hurt his arm on that as well. Still trying to shake the wrist loose a little bit.
Well, Indiana's already lost Michelli for the remainder of this game, and it would be a tough break if they were to lose a defenseman now. So just a second over 4 minutes to play in the home opener for Indiana of this series. And after the scrum, it's won by the Cards. Thrown in front. Billis watches it go by the paint. And McDonald throws on the brakes into the corner. Pulled away to Burkhart. Poke check, and it's lifted from his stick. Now to Whitliff in some space. To McDonald on the near side. A shot going past the bar onto the far side. Collected by Null. Right in front, jamming toward the crease. O'Flaherty a jam job. Backhanded shot is collected carefully by Cam Walsh. And with 3:37 in period number 3, Indiana's going to have to make something happen and make it happen soon if they want to tie this game up.
They just got to keep getting the puck down low and pray for the best, honestly. Just try to get a lucky bounce, maybe get a rebound opportunity down there. Whatever you can get.
Draw one. Here's DiLorenzo. A shot. Rebound right in front. Bounced again. Walsh could not keep the puck from bouncing over toward an Indiana stick. Now to DiLorenzo, working the end zone. Timmons fires it off the board and into the corner. Castricani delivers a body check. Rolling past DiLorenzo into the space and carried forward by Carl. He's got all kinds of speed. Shot that rings off the pipe. It drew iron, Garrett. Now to Whitliff, a stretch pass, 3-line pass over to DiLorenzo. Thinks about it, shoot, hits off the crossbar. 2 shots that find the iron.
Wow.
Back-to-back for one for each side, Garrett.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Warner pins a man up against the glass. That's Dinzik. Carl liberates the puck. Fakes a shot, then turns around trying to find the easy way toward the cage. He again gets a stick lift. And Jeremy really putting him through his paces. Still trying to get the puck free. 2.5 to go. Indiana trailing by 1. Hawkins chips it along the glass, and Indiana will get a change. U of L does the same. 2:22. And rolling across the Indiana defensive blue line. Batted down. Moving in is Ryan. And Gary, you have to think at this point, Indiana may try to set up an attack for an extra man.
Looks like we might see it here in the next 30 seconds or so. Billis keeps looking over to the bench.
He's looking for the signal. Puck rolls on the windowsill and right past Leo Warner. He goes sailing through the air like Bobby Orr. And on the ground was Parker Gee throwing him around. Minute 45 to go. Indiana trailing by 1. Shot floats up and over the cage. That's Billis watching it sail over his head. Now McDonald pulls it free. Lets the puck do the moving and enters the zone with 90 seconds to go. Billis still in the crease. Puck wobbles along the blue line. That's Colton Ryan now. Again, McDonald nearly gets lit up, and Jeremy, the fastest man on the ice, goes 2-on-1. Dangles a quick shot, bouncing off the boards. The crease is empty. It's an empty net for Indiana. To kick it from the high slot, deflected off a body. Burkhart stepping in front of the puck and blocking it like it was a Nerf football. Now into the corner. 65 seconds to go. Indiana still trailing by 1. Kissel, a shot through the trees. McDonald, a backhand attempt. Can't get it to go. Now to kicker at the half dasher. Castricani trying to get it, and it rolls all the way across and into the gaping hole. An empty netter for Louisville will seal things up. 45 seconds to go here in the third. And a disappointing way to end for Indiana fans as they head for the exits.
And the veteran Zach Burkhart with the spinning empty netter from his own zone. Those are the types of plays where you just kind of flick it down there. You'll take the icing, but you don't really expect it to go in. But Burkhart able to put it past nobody, and 5-3 Louisville now.
Well, if you ask a hockey fan over the age of 60, they'll probably tell you that that was a cheap move and they don't like it too much. That's one of the newer changes to the game of hockey that we've noticed, Garrett, in our lifetime at least. The fact that you can go for that empty netter and coaches aren't going to be too worried about the icing in worst case scenario. So the barn really starting to empty out. And just a reminder that tomorrow evening, 7 p.m., Garrett and I, alongside Andrew Gus and Ben Stannard, will be back on the call. A good rush by Castricani through the legs, right in front of the crease, bounces off the side. Null shovels it no look to DiLorenzo outside the circle. To Hawkins, who holds the zone. To the backside where Null finds it. Can't keep his footing. Right in front, backhanded shot by Warner. He pushes a man down. DiLorenzo tries to win it back on the forecheck. Carl getting in, trying to reach it free. An empty net again. And with 10 seconds left, the puck bounces across, and icing has been called. Dylan Dinzing thought it was a little bit premature. Still a 2-goal margin. And 10 seconds for Indiana to do something. Slow to get back onto his blades was Ty Morgan, who went down to a knee, Garrett.
Yeah, you don't want to see anything like that here in the final 10 seconds of the game, and Louisville is going to use their timeout here.
Well, Coach Brian Graham is animated. He is furious at the puck was blown dead so soon and that the linesman didn't allow for a rush to the far side.
I was surprised as well. It looked like Louisville was out front there as Chambers was desperately chasing the puck down as it was heading toward the empty net, but if you're Indiana, you'll take it. Not really going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things, but nonetheless.
Be that as it may, 5 aside. And now 6 aside as Sammy stays put. Indiana with an extra man. Kissel, McDonald, and O'Flaherty all clumped right in front of the slot. Off the draw, Jeremy pushes it forward to Kissel, a centering pass. Whitliff trying to move around to check. Shot into traffic, off a leg, 2 seconds left, right in front, jammed at, and Walsh covers it up to end this game. More pushing and shoving after the whistle. And still everybody trying to get untangled from that mess as Jeremy tries to take on the entire team. So a hard-fought contest in game 1 of this series, and now Kissel's going after somebody. Garrett, these guys play tomorrow, and both sides will remember that.
Yeah, we'll see if that leads to anything towards the beginning of the game tomorrow, maybe even off the opening puck drop. We'll see, but a tough loss for Indiana tonight here at home at the Frank. Their first time this season they've dropped one here in the friendly confines of Bloomington, and
that's one way to put it, Garrett.
They're going to have to rebound to avoid a sweep.
Well, the final score 5-3. The Cardinals shake hands, victorious on game 1 of this 2-game set. Shots on goal in that frame, 15-7 in favor of Indiana. IU vastly outshooting Louisville in all 3 periods. Garrett, they just couldn't find the back of the net.
Nope, they had some chances, but give credit to Cam Walsh. He played a heck of a game, and he gave up 3, but Louisville able to put 5 on the board, so they got him the win.
Well, we'll send it to a break before the Indiana Hockey postgame show with Andrew Guss and Garrett Drake alongside GD. I'm Sam Weixler saying so long. Thank you all for tuning in to Club Hockey at Indiana University on the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network.
Hi there, I'm Andrew Gus, joined alongside Garrett Drake here for the Indiana Hockey postgame show. Garrett, we just fell 5-3 to Louisville. You have another chance tomorrow. So it seems like the beginning of the year, we started off really strong, getting those Friday night wins and then Saturday losses, but it seems like things are starting to take a turn for the worse, meaning we're splitting a lot of series rather than sweeping. So what are we going to need to do tomorrow to come back stronger like we did last week at Kentucky after losing a Friday game and coming back on Saturday a lot stronger?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to take away from this one is a lot of the new guys know what to expect tomorrow, because the Indiana-Louisville games, as you saw today, they get pretty crazy and really scrappy as well. Lots of fights, lots of penalty minutes. So I was glad that the freshmen got to experience that today, and now they know what to expect going into their barn tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting. It was a close game today, despite all those things that happened and the discrepancies in the shots and faceoffs. Indiana had the edge in a couple of those categories, but they just couldn't sustain the attack all the way through.
As we saw also, a very, very close game all the way down to the wire at the end. An empty net goal with about 40-some seconds left put them up by 5-3. But Billis, a really good game overall. The first period, he did not get great help on defense. They tightened it up a lot more. They slowed down in the offensive zone, got more shots. Just a few more minutes on the board, maybe they could have got something going. But sadly, 60 minutes is all they had tonight. So tomorrow they'll have 60 more minutes, and we'll see if they can come out stronger and possibly get that win for a series sweep. For Garrett Drake, I'm Andrew Gus. You've been watching the Indiana Hockey Broadcast Network.